one in Hangzhou, one in Jinan, and Jinhua, and Anshun, and our people had to go there. And I can tell you, our people also suffered. Anshun, inner China, where they build about 10,000 cars a year, minus 20 degrees in winter. Orang kat Tanjung Malay yang datang balik kampung, cuba bayang, menggigil. And we had to tell our people to be strong. We had to send food. We had to teach them how to speak a little bit basic Mandarin. And I'm glad nobody came home with a wife, a Chinese wife. Because it's find it very easy. You try to be in Anshun for many months, 6 months by yourself. It's not simple, but it's about preparing the human capital to it. So, we were quite happy, and so far we have not had any investment. We've got about close to $150 million revenue just out of this venture alone. Now, again, the phase 2 today is trying to get down even more to deeper by access to low-cost base, lower development costs, commercializing our product today, and now what did I do? There you go. So these are the products. The first phase of our partnership is to develop these 2 products here. This is our global car. It's purposely done small. It's coming out in March. I've seen this car, I've driven this car. I know, my take is the best car we ever built by far. And I'm quite excited, and this car will be out. We are building the Xora. They're going to rebatch this and do modification to put it in the brand. Platforms are common, and from China we're going to go out and left-hand drive as a market. Our next stage is to develop together. These are the cars that we're going to develop. The global car, the Saga, the MPV, all will be done together with our partner in China. Using the same platform, using the same powertrain, but we're going to do it together. And this has already been decided. So, ladies and gentlemen, to succeed in China, I think a few things. It's the need to invest, we have learned that to invest heavily for non-physical and networking and culture training, I think is very important. Don't just invest in what we call hardware. The people issue, I think, is very key. We have a good team. We have a guy who is leading there, who has about 30 years experience in China. He was a retired Malaysian, Chinese guy. I had to entice him to come back. And you need people like him, who's what we call street smart. You must beat the Chinese in your own language. I cannot survive in China. You just go, actually, you go to a meeting, you sign a minutes of meeting, an agreement, and tomorrow the guy changed his mind. And you go back to the drawing board again and again and again. But it takes time. It's nothing to do with them, it's about exposing them to international practice and standard. Over time, if you are consistent, you have respect, and you give them, the need of time, and when they want you fly in and give them the respect, that relationship will work. And you then walk away, just like Syed, you can call about any time in the morning and say, I have a problem, I need your help. And they will intervene. But that doesn't come by visiting only once a year. You have to keep on, you invite them here, we go out for dinners. And you know how Chinese dinners are? Letih. It is tiring. Big table with 20 people, a feast of food, and they like to count and toast you every 90 people will come and toast you. Sebaik kita minum air sejuk. I imagine the people who drink, by the time they finish drinking, they will collapse. The famous Mao Tai? That's China. And I always dread having to go to official dinner in China because it takes about 3.5 hours. And you pretend, you smile. She. Dalam hati, celakanya orang. But that's China. You have to pay people respect. And they will adopt you and they embrace you into the culture. And it's very simple. Of course, you have your values, you don't sacrifice your values. Time for pray? Sorry, I have to pray. I pray. They now understand. 1 o'clock, Dato Seri, you want to pray? Yes, sir, please. It's not a problem. But you must be strong and you must be dignified in the way you do things. Don't take it for granted that you are here, someone from Malaysia who knows better and say, hey, my way or the highway. Because it ain't going to work. We don't have the financial might, so we have to do it smartly. We have to rely on the resources of the people in the company, people in China, our extended vendors, and our professors from university. We have a full-time professor in UTM today, based in Proton, and we tap into his knowledge base, because we need everybody. And I like corporate Malaysians, young corporate Malaysians. It's very interesting. And our office is going to be in Beijing, and also in Erdos. It's a very beautiful place. It's almost like Putrajaya. Yeah? And, you know, it's very interesting. So we focus on this joint venture, and hopefully, inshallah, I'm very confident we have a good partner. Our partner, Mr. Chemeng Zhang, is a family-run company, a private company, make quick decision. He owns 25% of Bank of China and about 30% of Bank of Inner Mongolia, have a coal mine, have 2 factories, used to assemble Hyundai cars, and now have the vision to go up to the A-B segment, and we want to be a part of that journey. Now, major issues, of course, top-level management and gaps, just like Shah said, is a problem. It's a real problem today, and, you know, I mean, people that we think can survive cannot survive, so we need to take a different approach. You know, I mean, apart from just, you know, exposing to, you know, the business of knowledge, we also perhaps have to teach. I was telling my human resource director, I said, Suami, kita kena ajar budak kita macam mana nak behave masa makan. 3 glasses and 4 cutleries left and right. Which one to use first? People are not careful, you pick the wrong one and people look at you in a funny way. That's people take for granted. I was in Petronas many years ago and I actually attended a class about interpersonal skill in a dinner, and they teach how to use a napkin, how to hold a glass, how to hold your fork and a knife, and how to munch. That's Petronas. We're trying to get there, and over time I think, because it's very important, people look at you in the way you manners during dinner. And they will laugh, you know, Chinese kind of manners, but this is one test. How do you respect the culture of the country? Lack of culture skill, I think this is a problem. You know, I mean, that's why we're trying to expose our staff by, you know, going Mandarin class, Cantonese. I speak a little bit of Hokkien, but I cannot understand Mandarin, only Wapuchitao. That's all I know. So they understand when I say that, they walk away. Language is important, like a planning in Chinese. I think we need to be long term, we cannot be short term. It's not about money today, it's money in the future. Government regulation policy, again, I knock on the ambassador's door all the time. I've been in a phone call away from the trade commissioner. In every country that I go, I talk to the MIDA equivalent in the country, and we go out for dinners, we hang around, we talk, and we open. And this is, it must be a routine. And that only you understand. Similarly, people come to Malaysia, people do the same. And these are the lessons learned that we need to do. You know, I will not go into detail in interest of time. Dialects, spend more time. Spending time, I think, is very key. Dato Donald Chu, who is our head of China today, he lives and he thrives in China. And he has done an excellent job, I must say. And he has about 8 Chinese Malaysian, 1 Malay, and supporting the China operation. And that's what they do. They go and integrate. They travel throughout the country. And, you know, you can imagine it's a vast country, and it's painful. But they are the one, our eyes and ears, that bring back knowledge to the company. We use consultants every now and then, you know, of course they are very important because they have the best practice, they have a good database. We cannot assume, you know, that we, you know, consultants are way here to just rip our money, but I think they are here to give us value and advice from the many experiences that other people have, so do not make the same mistakes anymore. Okay, how does this work? India, quickly.
Dato Sri, just for the, I think we're running out of time very soon.
Quickly.
Just to leave question for the
India,
Q&A.
we are focusing on Chennai. Our plan is going to be in Chennai. We are going to a joint venture again with a local company, with another global OEM. Similar reason, we take out the box, income to us, we don't want scale, it's a right-hand drive for our other markets, expansion of Malaysia suppliers, and also product sharing for the products when they go to India. And these are some of the pillars. Product, price must be competitive, we have to promote. We talked to the government of Chennai, and we got a piece of land that we're going to invest. And we now have an office, both in Chennai and New Delhi. We need to hire local. We just hired a global CEO of our engineering company, an Indian guy who works from Chrysler, who will report duty early next year to head our operation in India in engineering. And this is our stages. We need to go bit by bit, you know, to make sure to pace ourselves, do not, you know, go and big and, you know, have an overwhelming, you know, what we call task to execute. So we're going to go into 3-phase approach, and finally, obviously, to have a full-fledged market presence in 2017 and 2020. Now, what we want to do, our vision, ladies and gentlemen, is to have what we call a hub and spoke. where we have operations in China, in India, and Malaysia, and there isn't somewhere in Iran, in the question in Iran, but Iran is a standalone given the political scenario, but it's a big market. It's about 1.5 million cars a year. We're bringing the board of directors to Iran in January, and we have a company in Kerman. Our cars have already been sold about, 3,000 units a year, and it's very competitive. I think it's very attractive, and there's still good money to make. And this is what I want to do so that we cut down our costs, and hopefully one day the Proton brand over the horizon can reduce the gap with the Korean and the Japanese. Today we have a big gap, but we need to get better in quality, and it takes a long journey. And I believe we'll be one day. I mean, if Koreans can do it, why can't we? But it takes focus and it takes time, and we cannot afford any distraction. And today, what's happening in the news is to be really a lot of distraction for the people in the company. Thank you. I hope that has been very interesting. Apologize for taking too much of your time, and I'll be more than happy. And again, I hope this has been a rewarding experience for you as it for me, and at least give you a bit of a background where we are in Proton, so that when you do drive a car, don't be too critical. There's a lot. It's such a complex business, but as any company, we are open to change. I'm first to admit that we are not over the hill. There are many things to be done, but we are, I believe, on the right track. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dato Seri. Okay, now I will open the questions to the floor. You know the modus operandi, the microphones. Please keep your questions concise. If you have any problem with servicing your car, this is not the forum. Keep the questions to the presentation that was given. Thank you.
Your Proton production system with the world-renowned Toyota production system. Thank you, sir.
Well, I think it's very easy to compare, but you have to compare with relative terms. I was trained under the Toyota production system for about 6 years. I studied, and I worked in Japan for 6 months, working from the ground, and understand. And our system is not as complex. I think fundamentally, if you ask me, the system is comparable, but the attitude of the people here are far worse than the people in Japan. The fundamental difference between us and them is what goes here, is the heart and the soul. And I believe it because I've seen Malaysian change. We put good values to the people of the company. And we adopt what we call today the Proton production system, and we have a very extensive 6 ex-Toyota and Nissan people we call roaming experts that work with Manjaiko, the Japanese government, that goes around to our factory, and we adopt the same thing, just in time, what we call Kaizen in the air. It's all done in Proton. We have many Kaizen systems. We have Jidoka with built-in quality system. It's all there. But sir, we can put all the system. If people one day wake up, I'm not going to do it, it ain't going to work. Classic example in Japan. You drive a plane, you arrive in Kansai, blizzard snowstorm, you see one guy that's sitting down there, nobody sees him, his supervisor's not there, but he's still there and not. Try put a Malaysian there. You know what's going to happen? He's not going to be there. Simple. But that's how Japanese are. You don't have to have a microphone, a camera to keep an eye on you. You will do it day in and day out exactly the same without fail. That is the Japanese value. And that is why it takes a long time for us. We will be there, inshallah, I believe. It can be done, but it takes a lot of ingredient and effort in terms of human capital investment that we have to do.
I propose we take maybe a few questions first.
Yeah, go ahead. A few questions. Wah, ramai beratur, susah.
Hello to Seri. I would like to ask a simple question. Just one question. How much is the tax imposed for a new Proton car?
How much is that?
The tax imposed on a new Proton car. That's it. Thanks.
My question, hello. Yeah, my question is, you're now in China, and then either with Lotus or the plant with Hotai, and you know Chinese are more concerned about the brands, and Proton being a national car maker, that image, how do you beat the competitors, the long-established competitors in China?
Thank you. Please, sir.
Happy afternoon, Dato Seri, Syed. My name is Tan. I just want to ask Dato Seri, you mentioned that there's potential for your local supplier to JV with you in China and India. Can you please elaborate how does a local supplier be able to benefit from your venture?
Lotus supplier?
Yes.
Local or Lotus?
Local.
Local. Oh.
Malaysian suppliers to OEM with you in China to supply components.
Are you a supplier?
Yes, I'm. Thank you.
Figure that much.
Okay. Maybe we'll have 2 more questions, since there are 2.
Okay. Dato Sri, I would like to ask about the Proton views and plans on the hybrid cars market in Malaysian market and also globally. Thanks.
Hello. I would like to ask about the. So Proton has entered the Indian and the Chinese market. How about the Brazilian market? And I remember because when the Inspira was launched, it was a deal for Proton to rebatch Inspira from Mitsubishi, and for Mitsubishi to rebatch Persona and Exora to countries such as Brazil, where Mitsubishi has presence but Proton doesn't. Thank you.
Okay. First question, how much tax is imposed? In any car company today that exists in Malaysia, there are 3 types of taxes. Import duty, excise duty, and sales tax. You are within ASEAN, obviously we don't pay import duty. I mean that's already subscribed, so we don't pay any import duty. Excise duty we pay, and it ranges from car to car. And how is excise duty calculated? The way, the formula that's done by the Malaysian government, the more you source from local suppliers, local value chain, the lower is your excise duty. Now, why is this so? For a company that buys 80% of the component in Malaysia, compared to a company that imports 80% or 90% of the component, obviously the one that buys the 80% contributes more to the local economy. And that's just basic economy. So obviously the government, any government of the day, not only Malaysian, any government of the day in any country, would like to allow people to have some incentive because they localize. This doesn't apply for Proton only, it applies for everyone. Example, today one global OEM, take any pick from Europe or from US, come and do 100% localization. Absolutely everything sourced from Malaysia. They will get the same excise duty calculation. It just so happened that we localize 95% of our components because we made it a point to buy it from Malaysians. We do import, but because we do that, the local content and the money retains in the country. And that's what the government subscribes. Sales tax, everybody says a 9 to 9.5% sales tax across the board. We pay the same. And of course, the more you have a Mercedes, you have your OTR price are more, you pay more. We pay for 70,000 car, our competitor $70,000 car, they pay the same. We don't cheat, and it's all audited by the good office of Pricewaterhouse, Dato Johan Razlan. Now, second question, China brand and how to compete. You have a very good point. I think the reason why we took the route that we took, we had a particular debate, I remember in the brainstorming many years ago. Do we go and invest where we have brand that's not known? The answer is no. It's not the right thing to do. The money is very expensive and it's very painful to go. So what's the approach? We go and provide technology to a partner called Young Man. 2 things happen. Number 1, we understand the market. Number 2, Proton, in the eyes of the people in China, is perceived as a technology provider. There are 2 different things. Just like the way Mitsubishi tells us many, many years ago. Along the way, we're trying to equate this word called Lotus Ride and Handling. So a lot of cars today, both here and our relationship with Huatai, the value proposition is Lotus Ride and Handling at affordable price. So that's why we create the branding, and that's why we're investing a lot on this motorsport so that we connect the DNA and the USP. Proton is a company, siapa? Proton, Malaysia, people do not know, you're right. But that doesn't mean that we cannot approach. Now, if you want to go to the Beijing, obviously this is not the car to buy. Shanghai is basically limousine. But there are opportunities outside of China that we can still tap. Where the gaps are left by the Hyundai or Kia of the world that now is migrating to compete with the Chinese, that is a vacuum that we can now go take and put our position there properly. Because the quality of our car, I must say, is far better than the Chinese car today. But over time, they will do. So we need to be with them and work with them and to give them the capability and get economies of scale and get advantage of the cost. Third question about local supplier. Well, we have a program. Everywhere we go, we bring our ecosystem. A good example in China, we had a briefing the other day and we are arranging a trip in January where our Proton vendor association, the suppliers, get together, we'll go and bring about 30 people, they visit the plant, then we do what we call matchmaking between the local suppliers and our suppliers. And it must be B2B. They invest either to joint venture, they invest to technical JV, technical assistance, and we encourage. At least they go with full visibility of Proton because we also tell them, hedge your risk. We don't want you to go overseas and kill your home base. You know, I mean, if you go and overexpose yourself and your home base collapse, Proton will collapse. But we do it in a good effort and we tell them anytime you want to invest, please get our approval because we must support the investment that you make overseas. And it must be something that's transparent. And we work very closely. The same will happen in Iran. They've been there and the same thing will happen in India and vice versa. Plans of hybrid. I think, yeah, I didn't mention anything about hybrid in my presentation. This is a big agenda. I can show you every Tuesday, almost every Tuesday morning. I will meet our advisor, Dr. Mahathir, at 8:45 sharp. The first half an hour of our meeting will be about hybrid cars. That's the order of the day. This is the future, and we have a system today. You have probably read the papers. We are now delivering cars to the Malaysian government, both in Putrajaya and Cyberjaya, about 250 cars of Exora Hybrid and Saga EV. It's now being tested. Some of the ministers have driven the car to Parliament. What we want to do is to test the system that we have and get what we call a human user interface with the car and the feedback, with the intent to improve the system so that we refine the adaptability to any types of consumer, so that before we commercialize in 2013. What are the facts? The facts is that we have participated 2 years already now in a race from Brighton to London, the Future Car Challenge, and I was there about a year ago, and we're competing against the Toyotas, the Volkswagen, the Hondas, and our range extender EV, the Exora, won